Hello, so I'll be speaking in English. So, I will talk about, I will show you how to build a web-based graph editor where user can use his mouse to draw nodes, draw edges, and model its graph. And prepare yourself because I will show you a lot of code. Okay, a little about myself. I am a full stack developer. Okay. Currently, I'm a software architect of a Makigami platform. I will show you a little of this because this presentation is also inspired by Makigami, where we use this technology to draw graphs. At JT Weston, and we are a small or medium startup in Warsaw. My main programming languages are Scala and TypeScript. Previously, I worked in Java and JavaScript, and I will not go back there. Also, I'm a practitioner of CQRS approach. This is a command query response separation, and I created a reactive framework based on akka. It's available on GitHub, not very well documented. And during my career, I had, and now I had a few more responsibilities around the software projects. Okay, so today I will be talking about some requirements for our graph editor, and I will introduce technologies I have used to create it. Later, I will show you project structure and how to compose a build process. This will be a real code. Later, well, below that point there will be a lot of code. Yeah. So, how to draw a graph using D3 framework, and how to incorporate drag and drop support in JavaScript browser-based application. Okay, so our project, our editor will be able to allow user to add nodes and connect them by drawing edges. Of course, every node on the map user will be able to move it and remove those elements. So now I will show you how the real application works if Wi-Fi will be available. So that is a nice feature of working in cloud. Yeah? You need to have network available. Okay. So this is it. It have a very simple interface. So basically, user can add nodes using double click. So I can add nodes to of my graph. I can move there around, and when I enable this option, I can connect them using lines, drawing edges. I can draw edges on them, and some minor UI improvements. If a user wants to remove element, he can highlight it and press delete button on the keyboard. So we have support for keyboard events also. Okay, so that's all. There will be that have been built. this, sorry, this one. I will just refresh it. Okay. So those are technologies I've used to create this simple project. So to build the project, I've used Gulp.js, Gulp, I think, which is working on Node.js, and to load dependencies. So basically, JavaScript libraries needed for the project and needed for the build process. I've used npm package manager. Code is written in TypeScript. Those graph is drawn on the page using SVG elements of HTML. I've also used Font Awesome to have nice pencil icon on the button, and to draw elements based on data model. I've used data-driven documents D3. I will talk about this a little later in more detail. And I've used Lodash library to manipulate data in the code. So maybe a little introduction to TypeScript. How many of you have used TypeScript professionally or hobby in home? Okay, so around 1/3. So TypeScript basically is a superset of JavaScript that adds type definition to it. So we can basically, like in more traditional languages like C++ or Java, we can define classes and interfaces. We can annotate our variables and constants with types, so we can declare which one will be a number, which one will be a string, and compiler will check this before we run our application. There's support of constant and variables, so basically, and it's compatible with JavaScript as being of superset. So we can, without any problem, use existing JavaScript libraries. We would like to have TypeScript libraries, of course, but to do that, there is a project called Definitely Typed, which provides us with TypeScript type definitions for many major JavaScript libraries. I think they have almost 2,000 of supported libraries now. So we can download only the type definitions, not the source code of the library, but type definitions that will be used by TypeScript compiler to verify our interfaces. D3, or data-driven documents, is a framework that allows us to bind a logical model of our applications to HTML. Basically, HTML elements, SVG elements, and it does very efficiently, so we can handle a lot of data this way. Okay. So about the project, sorry, I have it here. Sorry for the font size on this in this part. I don't know how to enlarge those, but basically our project structure contains scripts directory that contains our sources, mainly TypeScript files and SAS style sheets definitions. Styles folder containing styles, of course. Gulp file, which is a build definition, and and package.json, which contains our list of our dependencies in our project. So we have development dependencies that will be used basically by Gulp during the build process, and dependencies that will be included in our final package. Sorry, I will close that. Okay, so what are the main components of our graph editors? We'll definitely need to model the data of our graph. We'll have a controller that will, based on a model, will generate HTML, and we'll have a command bus that will be responsible for changing the model. So controller will be able to send commands to command bus to change model. In example, add node or move, change node position. Later I will show how to HTML and SVG is generated, how drag and drop is implemented, and other inputs is handled, an example keyboard input. Okay, so this is simplified code of our model. So our graph contains list of nodes or array of nodes and array of edges. Each node has its unique identifier and position, so pair of x and y numbers, and edges have ID and points to the two nodes that they are connected with the edge. Yeah. Okay, so how HTML, how we can achieve this look of our application. So we have to generate SVG circles, SVG lines. We have to add some button to it. Yeah. So this is done with our graph controller, which during constructions, sorry, maybe I will be able to turn the syntax highlighting on. Oh, TypeScript is not supported. Maybe JavaScript will be sufficient. That's a little better. Okay, so we have an index.html file, which is our main working area. We have included that main div that will be our canvas for drawing the application. And here are the libraries, and our application is loaded. So I've showed you already the model. Why it's not highlighted anymore? Syntax. Okay. So our model controller updates HTML during the update view method call, and I will show you how nodes are drawn using D3 API. So D3 uses a selection API. It's a little similar to $ function in jQuery. In constructor, we can select elements using the CSS selectors from the HTML. So we have grab handles to manipulate our canvas, layer that will be used to draw edges, layer for nodes, and so on. So to draw nodes using D3, we have to select all elements using this selector. We want them to be SVG circles, with a class name GraphNode. Then we bind the data to this selection using our model nodes. And D3 will bind these elements, even though they are not yet exist on the page, with this data. Later, we have to add nodes when they are needed, and remove them where there are too many nodes on the page. In example, after user removes node from the graph. So D3 uses interface for this. When we can, that means basically it selects the nodes that are in the model, but are not available in HTML yet, and appends this HTML tag to the page. Later it changes its attribute, so we add a graph node class CSS class name to match this one. This part is used to remove elements from HTML if they were removed. So this is an exit phase. And later we change attribute of all existing nodes using select all method, and we can change HTML attributes with this. So we can change center X attribute using this lambda function. When we have available our model from here, so we can set center X to our position X from our model. The same for radius, which is available in our model. The same is done for nodes, for edges, sorry. Okay, so what now we would like user to be able to drag elements on the graph map. So we'll use drag and drop feature, and there are 4 phases of when user interacts with an object using drag and drop. So first he moves his cursor mouse pointer to the over the object. He presses left mouse button, drags the element somewhere else, and releases the button. So this is translated to an API when we have to define origin point of the click start. When first click happened, when the location of the point when user pressed the left mouse button. So this might be the position of the cursor on the screen, or some other position if this would be more convenient for our later calculations. We have to handle the drag started event. So in example, we want to add shadow below the element, so it will look like it hovering above the page. Later, on every event when user drags the element, so we have to update the position of the element to match the current cursor position. And after drag ended, we can change the model. In example, we can say send update to a server to save the change. So in the code, we have drag behavior implemented for node drag. So this is a little of TypeScript code. So we can, as I said, define drag origin. When mouse button is pressed, we have to define what the position of our. We can define what is the position of our object we want to drag. We are not very interested at this point in mouse position, but we can return the x and y of our node, where model is a graph node. Later we have to handle. We have a callbacks to those methods: drag started, dragged, and drag ended. When we at this point we just activate the dragged element, so we mark it as active in the map, and update this position. So after we are sending command update node position to through command bus, so controller will be able to update node position accordingly. Okay, how to handle user keyboard events? The delete button when user wants to remove node or remove edge. So we have this in our controller. We can use this D3 feature, so we can select our body as an element body from UI, from HTML, and listen on the key down event. So later we can check when the event occurs, we can check if key code of pressed key is equal 46 in this manner, which means delete key. So when user presses delete key, we send the command through the command bus delete active element, and command bus knows which element is active currently. In similar fashion, double click is handled when we can listen on double click event and add node when that happened. When that happens. Okay, so that would be all about simple graph editor. This approach and these technologies and part of this code is used in our Makigami platform, which is basically a modeler for a process graph and modeler for business forms using this approach. Yes, so we can using D3 we draw nodes and edges on the map and handle user input, user drag and drop, and so on. Hey, so source code of this example is available on my GitHub. Also, working version of Graph Editor. This presentation is also available on GitHub. It will be published on Meetup also. This is a contact for me. You can send your CVs if you are interested. We are looking for front-end developers. Our project, Makigami, is very complex from the UI point of view. Now, currently, it has more than 100,000 TypeScript code lines. It was developed for a while now. So.